Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video of Fox Flicks on Jordan Friends. Today we're going to see if we can...
Wait, remember the penguins of Madagascar?
If you remember it, hit that like and subscribe button. Let's go.
It was an animated series follow-up to the Madagascar movie franchise that fixated its lens on everyone's favorite penguin quartet. Developed by animated spy television veterans Rob Schooley and Mark McCorkle of the Kim Possible franchise, The Penguins of Madagascar does not disappoint. While the original Madagascar movies were important and informative in my younger years, now looking back maybe a bit less important, other than three specific things: the I Like to Move It song, Sugar Honey Iced Tea, and the four penguin super spies Skipper, Kowalski, Rico, and Private. And I feel like this is mutual for a lot of people.
It's good to remember this.
The penguins are funny. They're serious but also silly. They're thematic. They love each other. Their character dynamics already have a lot there to work with. Just in general, revisiting this series was such a joy. And I hope you find just as much joy in it as I did. If you enjoyed this video, your mission is to subscribe. Follow along as I, Kowalski, analyze everything the Penguins of Madagascar has to offer.
I would honestly love to get this show back.
It's true!
Click. Let's go.
The Penguins of Madagascar, which is not to be confused with the following movie called just Penguins of Madagascar, dropping the just like Facebook did.
Drop the, just Facebook.
Fixates on our team of four: Skipper, Kowalski, Rico, and Private. The series places our band of main characters in New York City, baby, in the Central Park Zoo, along with the troublemaking lemur gang of King Julian, Maurice, and Mort. The Penguins at the time of the movies were already experiencing a lot of displacement, but by the time the series came around, they had already dug their roots into New York City, so a lot of the series is just them trying to protect their home and habitat from harmful forces, or at least what they've convinced themselves are horrible, harmful forces. Due to their inherent super serious spy nature, everything, and I mean everything they do, needs to involve military-grade strategy and stealth. There had been a lot of confusion about when the series would have taken place. Due to the very adventurous nature of the previous movies, no one really knew how the Penguins ended up in New York City. But in an interview with Madagascar co-creator and voice of Skipper, Tom McGrath, he states that he doesn't even know himself. At the time of early development, not even the second movie had come out yet, so he and the team didn't really know how all of the movies would end. They just wrote it imagining that all these characters would, at the end of the franchise, somehow end up back there, and the lemurs just sort of tagged along. It's not written to be placed into the timeline of any specific canon. He just wanted these characters—
I'm sorry, but seeing a penguin on the subway, you're reading the comics while someone stares them down like freaked out, is hilarious. That's almost like in the first movie when they literally rode the subway to get to Grand Central Station. Oh my god.
in this specific setting. He even states that it may make more sense to just view it as an alternate timeline or universe, and I don't know, I kind of like how upfront and honest he is about that. With all that goes into fandoms trying to make everything make some sort of sense within multiverses and universes and cinematic whatevers, I literally get headaches when I try to think about how all the different content fits into various timelines. So sometimes a super simple answer like McGrath's is really appreciated. I found this kind of a fun and rare moment in the animation world. Heck, just in general.
The whole plan hinges on the element of surprise.
Up next, it's the Penguins of Madagascar.
You know something's wrong when 4 different people shut you up. Let's continue.
Now, here's more Penguins of Madagascar.
So the characters are in New York. We don't know how, but that's okay. The leader of the group is Skipper, voiced by Tom McGrath, who I mentioned earlier co-created the franchise. Skipper has very intense characteristics, making him prone to overanalyzing literally everything and searching for conspiracies in everything that he encounters. But even though everything may seem like a threat to him, he has the confidence in his team to balance out his paranoia. And I want to emphasize that he has confidence in his team, not just himself. He's not an arrogant character when it comes to his own abilities. He views his team as one unit and cares about all of them, which allows him to kind of let loose sometimes and let his team have fun. It's a nice found family aspect to the series and to these characters in general that I just thoroughly enjoy. Kowalski is voiced by Jeff Bennett, who is replacing Chris Miller from the original movies. Next to Skipper, he is also extremely serious about their missions, often performing his Kowalski analysis and inventing stuff to aid them in whatever they're planning. But his inventions commands speak for his comprehension when they usually don't work like he has planned. This shows that, despite acting like he knows what's going on, he's really just playing along to Skipper's antics. And in an interview, McCorkle shares that in developing the Penguins for their own show, they had to stick to their original characterizations, but at the same time get deeper into some of them. One of them being Kowalski, because he really didn't have much of a definable character in the movies. So in rethinking how they could have made his character more interesting, they came up with Science. He became the science guy, minus the Bill Nye. Rico is voiced by the one and only John DiMaggio, and he's the literal violence-loving wild card, or as McCorkle calls him, an insane penguin with psychopathic tendencies. God, I love him so much. Rico's character faced the same challenges as Kowalski, so they decided to make him more unique. They would embrace his wild side, giving him the ability to hawk up any prop the penguins needed. Examples including dynamite and flamethrowers, just to name two. So if you're ever faced with the question, who gave the penguin a gun? Your answer will most definitely be Rico. Lastly, Private.
Who gave the penguin
He's the most
gun?
emotionally
Rico!
open and vulnerable of the quartet, as characterized in the Nick production.
God, it's hilarious.
He is voiced by James Patrick Stewart in the series, who replaces Christopher Knight from the movies. Private is the youngest out of all of them and acts like it in a very wholesome way. He is more prone to fandom-related things, such as his love for the TV show The Lunicorns and his favorite purple unicorn toy. The developers didn't really have to do much to Private's character because he was already pretty well characterized in the movies, and he visually looked the most different already, with wider eyes and a rounder, smoother look. There's not a single thought behind those eyes. I love him. Other characters like King Julian needed new voice actors as well. Replacing beloved Sacha Baron Cohen, Danny Jacobs took up the crown. But this wasn't a crazy change to make, as Jacobs had already provided the voice of King Julian in the Madagascar 2 Escape to Africa video game. Kowalski, Skipper, and Rico, however, needed more visually to differentiate them. They kept a lot of what Skipper looked like in the movies, being short and barrel-chested, and instead gave more defining traits to Kowalski and Rico.
Oh my God.
Kowalski became much more tall, and Rico gained a scar and a furry, feathery mohawk. In trying to further flesh out these characters, Schooley and McCorkle did turn to McGrath and other co-creator Eric Darnell. From there, they learned that there was actually a screenplay already written for a Penguins movie that did explore the characters further, which was absolutely helpful in fleshing out these characters. It also speaks to how the Penguins of Madagascar series came to be. According to DreamWorks Animation CEO Jeffrey Katzenberg, it seemed natural for them to take on their own television show. He says that the penguins in the original movie were so popular on the big screen, and that the penguins were just plain hysterical, so it seems that it was not a hard decision to make. Nickelodeon and DreamWorks partnered on a project, and Katzenberg is optimistic in saying that it will be the first of many future projects. That would really solidify the relationship between Nick and DreamWorks. Rob Schooley and Mark McCorkle say that they had joined on the project right out of working on Kim Possible. Like, literally just 2 days later, they joined on to the Penguins team when the pilot was already in development. The two of them really did lend their incredible talent to the series, and coming up with ideas for the episodes, they turned to conflict. King Julian offered a lot of plot for the Penguins. Both groups have a lot of lifestyle differences, the Penguins being orderly and almost military in the way of their living, and King Julian living the glorious party-hard, unbound by rules lifestyle. They contrast pretty starkly. Other conflicts came in the form of the setting, specifically of the penguins living in a zoo where they will come into contact with humans in the form of guests, security guards, and unruly children. We also get to meet new characters, ones that are specific to the series that we haven't met before. We meet a Sandy Cheeks-inspired otter named Marlene, Max, who is an alley cat, and Roger, who is an alligator, just to name a few. The series started development pretty early on the Madagascar franchise. The idea for a Madagascar spin-off series was being thrown around in 2006, following the first movie's success. The pilot sneak peek was shown in November of 2008 during showings of The Mighty Bee, as well as new SpongeBob episodes, which was all a part of Nickelodeon's super stuffed Nicktoons weekend. The official premiere, however, was March 28, 2009, following the 22nd annual Kids' Choice Awards. This series was so promising that the network ordered a season 2 before the premiere, and their confidence was appropriate as it seems. The March premiere was incredibly well received, making Nickelodeon history as the highest rated series introduction in the channel's history at the time.
Okay, let's take another shot at the Penguin Bridge.
Up next, the Penguins of Madagascar.
Penguin Bridge. Man, it's been a while since I've seen this show, and I want to find it. If anyone knows where I could actually find the Penguins of Madagascar TV show, let me know down in the comments below, because I want to watch this show again.
I like it. On Nick.
It has been a long time since I've seen the original Madagascar trilogy, but I remember enjoying the penguins in those films and in the show, as well as their own movie, but we'll get to that in a second. The series was decently funny and charming. The penguins' antics were interesting and way more engaging than I thought they would have been. I found myself genuinely laughing a few times throughout the series for numerous different reasons, whether it be
This show will
throwaway
make you laugh.
one-liners, the physical comedy, or just the inflection from some of the voice actors and how they deliver their lines. Although sometimes King Julian's plot lines can pretty much get tiring, the show gave me a surprising amount of patience when dealing with his more annoying behaviors. The animation
Like how?
as well is pretty good, especially for a TV series with 3D animation. This is something that I think DreamWorks did great at transitioning from the big screen to the small screen, especially in terms of continuity when talking about changing budget and time restraints. The penguins do offer a nice easy form to animate because their main texture is just like sleek and shiny. The series also had to basically start from scratch. They had the past designs for the characters from the previous two movies, but because of animation software differences, they were in an unusable form. For the series, they also had to sacrifice
really?
a lot of resolution or
honestly
detail
sucks.
in the recreation or redesign. This was both helpful for the sanity of the animators as well as the general overall aesthetic look of the characters. In the movies, they had a lot of time and budget to dedicate to details like fur and hair, but this had to be rethought for a television series. Instead of detailing the hair, they opted for a more sculpted and stylized look that would be indicative of furriness,
Yeah,
but
yeah, I
wouldn't
can see that.
require all the work that would go into a fur coat, especially in the lemur
Look at
designs.
with the
The lines
lemurs.
are much more simple and geometric, but McCorkle dismisses the concern, emphasizing that when watching the series, the audience would be doing something wrong if they were looking closely to compare the movie to the series. Instead, they should really
I mean,
be
it is
focusing on
meant
the
to be its
content
own
of the
separate
story they're
thing.
telling and the jokes that they're cracking. And this is true across all of art. The style
damn.
within mediums doesn't have to blow you away specifically, as long as the story is good or has your interest. I've seen interesting and engaging stories told with stick figures. Schooley and McCorkle had nothing
yeah.
but good things to say about
Alan
the art
Beckler
style
can
as
definitely
well,
tell you a
having
thing or
come
two
straight
about
from their
that.
visually opposite Kim Possible series. They said that both have a lot to offer in terms of storytelling. While traditional animation, like in KP, offers more artistic style, CG has a great feel of spatial reality, and it can lend itself greatly to the type of comedy or show that takes advantage of it.
Gorilla
Overall, the
Mind.
general opinion of the series is really positive. The series has been nominated for an insane amount of Emmys and has won an impressive percentage of them. It also had a pretty hefty runtime of 149 episodes across
How did
three
he
packed
just-
seasons, airing mainly on Nickelodeon and then on Nicktoons for the last little bit of the third season.
Man, it's
John
been a while since I've seen
DiMaggio
this.
pretty firmly tweeted a reply that the series was over. It's done, he writes, with finality. But although fans were sad that the series had ended, the Penguins of Madagascar ran from 2008 to 2015, yet we still have
7
more
years?
content following the series. The 2014 movie that was coming out towards the end of the series was just titled Penguins of Madagascar, and it features Benedict Cumberbatch. It's a story that
Oh,
details the
yeah.
origins of the penguins themselves, as well as events that take place after the third Madagascar film. The following television series was titled All Hail King Julian, and despite the negative aspects of the Penguins of Madagascar series being attributed to Julian's annoyingness, that series ended up being received pretty positively as well. There are also talks of a
that's-
fourth
what?
Madagascar film, but that was pushed back away from the forefront
just
of our
moving on.
minds and will happen whenever it's ready, I guess. But as of right now, the Madagascar franchise lies with Madagascar A Little Wild, a current series that serves as a prequel to the 2005 movie. The original main
Can't believe
characters
they're
from the
doing
movies
that.
are back in their habitats at the Central Park Zoo, but because
As
of timing and
kids.
being a more juvenile show, it does not and would not feature the penguins in any way, unfortunately. Where is Tom McGrath when you need him to say screw the timeline? I honestly
Yeah,
didn't even
well,
know
the
about
penguins.
this series until diving back into the Madagascar cinematic universe. The penguins seem to have been this through-line heart of the Madagascar franchise, being the most popular characters, getting their own long-lasting show and full theatrical film. It's a pretty cool feat to hit for what they did produce from it. The show was genuinely a lot better than it may have had any right to have been. It was enjoyable, and the shtick of the penguins and how they interact within the world and with others surprisingly doesn't get old.
To be honest, the
Honestly,
penguins
I
were
wouldn't
definitely
mind
the
at
funniest
minimum,
things,
aside from
in my
appearing in
opinion.
another future Madagascar
Lemurs were a
film,
close
their own
second.
sequel film to the 2014 movie. I think with stuff like Puss in Boots showcasing how DreamWorks can handle side characters and really let the art of making something special speak for itself rather than just cashing in, proves
boy.
that we can do the same thing here with something like the Penguins. Let them have the freedom to make a movie that feels special like the new Puss in Boots film. Play with the art style, take the story in a new direction, have fun with it. I wouldn't
wait, is
count
that
this
the
out
movie
as a
that actually has all
possibility
the
because of how they're
squids,
proving they're capable of this
and
with with
all
the new Puss in
actual
Boots
references.
film. Would you like to see the penguins come back? Let me know in the comments, as well as your thoughts on the Penguins of Madagascar show in general. Also, who is your favorite penguin? My chaotic side is telling me Rico, but my wholesome side is telling me Private. I can't choose. Anyway, thanks so much for watching.
Rico and
Like and
Kowalski
subscribe.
for me. They were
Later.
my favorites. Well, folks, that's going to be the end of today's video. Little crazy, I know, but hey, come on, they're penguins. And how much harm could they be? Anyway, thank you all for joining me in today's video. I want you all to remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more. And I'll see all you folks next time when we flick on. Peace out.